Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about, or I guess I wanted to do a Q&A video and answer a lot of your guys' questions that you guys had for me on episode 4 and I guess episode 5 of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. There is some stuff that is sort of unrelated, but yeah, I'll get into these questions here. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And again, if you do want to join the Discord and you want to take part in these Q&As here, just go follow the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. The link should be in the description of this video, but let's get into the first question here. So Q&A to you. What do you think Daryl and Carol will do in season 2? Do you think they're going to find a way back to the Commonwealth, or are they going to take down the villain group? Well, I don't think, I think Daryl's motivation right now is to get back, right? There is definitely some stuff that is changing. It's not changing as much as I thought it would, though, right? I thought by episode 4 at least, or 5, you would start to see a little bit more of a change. I mean, I guess we're kind of at that point where we're seeing it a little bit. I think what could change a lot is a death or heartbreak and certain things happening, to some of the characters with Isabel and Sylvie and Laurent. If one of them died and seeing others affected and all that, Daryl might feel more, he has to stay and help out here. So I haven't really seen that yet entirely. He's been frustrated with Isabel. He got upset with her at the end of episode 4 because she was staying behind and was going to stay with Quinn. And he was just kind of fine. He was just so mad about it. He's like, fine, you stay then, or whatever he said. And he went on the boat afterwards. And so I think that he is going to try and go. It depends on what happens with Madame Genet and Caudron. What do they do? Do they capture Laurent at the end of the season? Certain things like that could happen, and that'll obviously cause Daryl to want to stay. Carol could show up, and then I don't know, we'll have to wait and see where this goes overall, but I think that Daryl and Carol are gonna want to stay for season 2, and obviously you're gonna want to help them out. Carol might be the one that wants to leave. When Carol gets there, she might be like, all right, I have a way that we can get back, so let's go back right now. And then Daryl might be like, no, I can't go back right now. I can't go back. And then Carol's just like, well, why? And then he sort of explains, and then maybe Carol helps Daryl out. And then once they deal with whatever they're dealing with, there's that moment where they discuss wanting to go back. And maybe it becomes a thing where Carol is, questioning Daryl throughout season 2. You don't want to go back, do you? Maybe it gets to that point, right? I know some people, when I mentioned in that video that, I thought that Daryl's goodbye to Rick and everyone was going to be how, his story ends. He goes back to France. Some people were, not even some, there was actually quite a bit of people who just didn't really like that idea. They were so upset about that Daryl, could ever leave his family kind of thing. But I don't know, to me, you got to make the story a little bit more interesting. I think that it's okay to have moments like that. Characters grow, they find new things. I think it's totally fine. Right now, he wants to go back, and that's fine. He will go back there. But I think at the end, when everyone's sort of happy and peaceful and just whatever, I mean, what is he gonna tell everybody in France that he's met to come with him back to America at the Commonwealth? I think that's just a little bit too, in terms of writing, it's just too happy. It's too oh, we're gonna bring everyone back and everyone's gonna live happily ever after at the Commonwealth kind of thing. I think that's just too crazy. It's not going to go that way. It really is. And it's going to be something where either Daryl's going to say goodbye to them and then that's it. He's just he's done with them. Or he decides afterwards, you know what? I kind of miss France. I want to go back. I found something there kind of thing. Anyways, there's going to be a reason why they stay in season 2. I don't think they're going to try at all really to find a way back to the Commonwealth. Carol might suggest some stuff, but I think overall they're going to be like, no, we got to help Isabel, Laurent, and Sylvie out, right? So Q&A, was the 4th episode what you were expecting, or was it better/worse? No, it was exactly what I was expecting. I think episode 4, I wasn't expecting to be that great of an episode because I was just thinking that it was going to be something I don't want to say a transition type of episode, but basically that. It's not filler, but it was just one of those episodes where you have to get to some parts of the story. You do need to tell it in order to get to the exciting parts, but there wasn't going to be anything that exciting. So I kind of expected it to be just, a good episode. Just watch the show, decent episode, but obviously 5 and 6 were going to be the better episodes. Q&A, who would win in a fight? Roy from Walking Dead or the pigeon guy from Daryl Dixon? I love this question. This question's amazing. If I had to pick, man, who would I pick? You know what? I'm gonna go with Pigeon Guy. I feel like not a lot of people are gonna pick him. A lot of people are probably gonna go with Roy, so I'm gonna go with the underdog here. I think Pigeon Guy, I think he could win that fight. Q&A, moving into the last 2 episodes and potentially season 2, how do you think they'll handle the variant walkers? Do you think we'll potentially see more in season 2, and how? Could Madame Genet release them all as retaliation? Well, In terms of the variant walker, I think the way they're going to handle the idea right now for the first season is obviously right now we're going to see that one variant walker. That one is successful. I don't know how many more she has. This might be the only one. Probably not. There's probably a lot more. But there's going to be sort of an introduction, I think, to the idea that she has this and she's using them as weapons. Episode 6 could get into some interesting places. I feel like at that point, you know, in terms of variant walker stuff, we could get a teaser at like there was some sort of breakthrough in figuring out how to handle something. So maybe there's a tease for season 2 in which the variant walkers are going to be more enhanced, or maybe not even more enhanced, but maybe they're perfecting the serum, right? And so they're able to use this a lot more. So instead of dealing with just one of them, they're going to have a lot more of them. And then in season 2, yeah, I think we're going to see more. I think it would be insane if they showed us this in season 1, and then in season 2, there's none at all, right? That's kind of crazy. So I think we're going to see a lot more in season 2. I think we'll learn a lot more about the CRM and all that. Like, in terms of CRM connections, I don't see us really getting anything besides some sort of little teasers at like, well, there was a connection here, or we got a delivery from America. Something like that. It would be like, oh, so where are you getting these walkers from in America? Is it CRM? You know, I don't see there being any sort of official confirmation and or anything in terms of it playing a role in the story at all in season 1. I think this could be a season 2, even season 3 thing. I think we're getting into it now though, finally, so it's kind of exciting. But yeah, I see it eventually with the variant walkers. By season 3, 4, 5, at some point, you know, before this show is over, I do think Madame Genet is going to be involved in this really epic scene where she's releasing all these variant walkers, and yeah, we're probably going to get something like that. I do think at some point in the series. Q&A, do you think we can end up seeing different kinds of variants next season? Something like a bloater from The Last of Us or a buff walker that's really quick? Well, in terms of a bloater or anything from The Last of Us, I don't think they're going to do anything like that. I think they're going to really try to stay away from that. I don't think they've really liked the comparisons to The Last of Us too much. In terms of different kinds of variants, I guess they could. I honestly think they should save that until like season 3. Just save it a little bit. Like if you're introducing variants next season, then it's almost going to become a thing that people will talk about. Okay, so season 1 we got this, season 2 we got this new variant. So season 3, are you going to introduce another variant? Like you don't want to get into that type of thing. So I say save the variant stuff if you're introducing a new one at all until season 3 or even 4. Like this new variant is very exciting as it is, and I want to see more like this, and just I want to get into why this is happening. There's so much here to explore that I don't think I'm really in a rush to see a lot more. So I think hold off on some of that for quite a bit, and just explore this new variant here, because we're going to be seeing the one variant, but like what about seeing 10 or 50 or like 100 of these variants, right? Like I mean of the fast aggressive variant. Like that would be so cool, you know, at some point to get a scene where there's like 100 of these variant aggressive walkers. Like I want to see that. Like obviously on The Walking Dead we've had scenes where there's been thousands of walkers, like thousands altogether. You know, and people have thought that was ridiculous. I mean, even when Daryl and everyone else put all like the blood and guts all over them and then they sort of walked through that. I mean, I even criticized that. I was like, that makes no sense whatsoever. Like just because they never really had a lot on them. So I was like, this is not like it was in season 1. And the whole mask thing too, wearing a whisperer mask, it's a little too much. Like it makes no sense. You put on a mask and then they think you're a walker, or you know what I mean? Like I know the technicality of it is the smell and all of that, but like it's just when you're looking at it, it's ridiculous. You put on a mask and then you just blend in. Like the whole thing with the whisperers in the comic is that it wasn't just the mask. It was kind of a whole suit, and it was sort of, they lived outdoors and they were basically living like a zombie. So to me, I think that the way it was handled in the show, especially in season 10, episode 16, the finale, the real finale anyways, that was a little ridiculous. And so I think getting into a scene where there's like 100 of these crazy variant walkers, I think that would make a lot more sense than what we got back in season 10's finale, right? Like I think they could pull that off, especially because they're kind of explaining a lot of it, and it could be really cool to see. So definitely I hope that you know, they hold off on like introducing new variants for quite a while. I don't think they need to get into anything like that right now. I want to get into this one question here. This is one question that I saw before, but do you think that Carol, or do you now think that Carol is still going to be in the finale? I think that there's a very, very good chance still. Yeah, like I don't think she's going to be there in terms of being there the whole episode. I don't see it playing out like that, but like the final scene of the series, you know, Carol showing up, I could totally see that. in terms of a post-credit scene, like that's really all I mean. Like even going back to the Walking Dead final episode, like I know some people were saying like, oh, you said that Rick and Michonne would be there in like a post-credit scene sort of thing, not what we got, because that wasn't a post-credit scene, that was like a final scene to the show. That is kind of what I mean overall by a post-credit scene. I just mean like it's this teaser at the end of the episode. Either it's going to be just before the credits roll or it's like afterwards. Like it's one of those things where it's like a little tease at the end. So I kind of generalize it by saying it's a post-credit scene, but like you get what I mean. It's just like this little tease at the end as to, you know, what's to come kind of thing. And I could totally see that with Carol. I think it makes sense. And the reason why I think it makes sense is because they're filming season 2. They've been filming season 2 for quite a while. So obviously they filmed some stuff with Carol showing up in France. So I think they could, you know, obviously put something together where it's a little sneak peek and then have it at the very end, because they really wanted Melissa McBride to be there in season 1. And obviously things couldn't really work out that way. And so this spinoff was sort of announced as just like the Daryl show for now. And then earlier this year, there was some stuff. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan posted some stuff of some of the photos that were kind of coming out where you saw Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus together. And yeah, obviously that sort of confirmed that she was going to be on the show. So they were filming season 2 at that point. I think that it makes sense that because this show was originally the Daryl and Carol show, you know, I think Daryl, you know, obviously like you can't have Carol in season 1 really in terms of taking part in the story, but because she came back for season 2 and they were going to film stuff for season 2, you could probably do something there where you can still have her technically a part of season 1, which I think would be so amazing. And Carol's return, if she shows up at the end, people are going to freak out. Like the story is already so epic and amazing as it is. And the only character from The Walking Dead is Daryl. So like having Carol show up, it's going to make season 2 so amazing. And it's going to be one of those things where people are just so hyped about. And I just really feel like that is what the teaser is going to be. I know some of the early reviewers were saying that there was like a final scene or something that happens and, you know, it put a smile on my face and stuff like that. There was a lot of people saying that. And so I really feel like that last scene is probably, it has to be Carol, right? Like, I'm not saying Carol's going to show up and like see Daryl or anything like that, but maybe there's a scene where we see somebody arriving, you know, or getting off of a boat sort of at the shore in somewhere in France, or maybe they're at the port in Le Havre, France, and we see Carol get off this ship or something like that, right? That would be just so epic. And then, yeah, obviously just, you know, a big tease for season 2 at that point. So that's sort of my overall predictions here, but definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.